Welcome to
Okay.
Perspective Shift. How are we doing?
It's
We
like a WWF wrestling.
we've got we're kicking off today with a special guest, guys. Thanks for everybody for tuning in to this episode of Perspective Shift. We have Anna Marie with us from Ohio. Hi Anna, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Yeah, doing well, doing really well.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We're excited for today's podcast with you.
I'm excited to be here too. I've listened to you guys for like the past year, and it's been like super helpful because you guys are actually real. So,
Thank you.
We're real. Yeah.
We appreciate that. We try to
Yeah.
be. It's exciting, we get a lot of different messages and whatnot, and so we connected with Anna over the last couple of weeks, and we were excited to get you on the show. Anna is an author, a poet, a podcast host herself, and so it's very cool and exciting for us to get your story and share it here with all the listeners on Perspective Shift.
yay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like nervous and I'm usually not nervous. So just I decided not to prepare anything.
Good.
That's
So
we don't
going
prepare
with
at
the
all.
flow because I feel like that is usually what works best for me. So
Yeah.
I
that's
know
where we're
exactly what you mean.
at.
Yeah.
That's funny. I was having that same conversation the other day. I had to do this presentation at my brokerage. So I work in real estate, and they gave me all these questions that they're going to ask us because I was part of this panel. And they're like, "Go ahead and prepare. Write your stuff." And it's like 2 days before, and I was like, "Oh, should I, start preparing?" And then I started reading the questions, and I was like, "Screw it. I'm just going to go in raw and see how it turns out." And of
Right.
course, it flowed better than anything, The more natural, the more genuine, we just dive right into it.
Yeah, that's pretty much like what I was thinking because, in the past, whenever I prepare anything, it ends up not sounding great and genuine. And I feel like if I just like sit there and go with it, it works out better. So,
Yeah. And I think that's part of like this whole movement now in the world where people are still trying to extract information from the outside world, but we have to understand we are information, so we don't need it.
I love that.
And
exactly.
because that's all we're doing is we're clogging ourselves with so much information, we're actually keeping our true voice and frequency out. And that's what's kind of what we're starting to learn right now. We're already prepared. We don't need to prepare. The situation will prepare you. You can't prepare prior to the
Exactly.
situation. Yeah.
Exactly. And, like I think I told you guys, I work at 988.
Yep,
Yeah.
correct.
So
Yeah.
it's the National Suicide Hotline for anyone that doesn't know. And in my job, like you have a certain like kind of a script where you have to ask certain questions, but for the most part, like I tell new people, like you cannot prepare yourself for any of this.
No.
Like because you never know who's gonna be on the other line.
No. Yeah. And that's so tell us a little bit about that because
Yeah,
that's a very interesting
I was just gonna
because
say.
you have to be in a very calm, peaceful place to actually assist somebody from that place. You can't be like, holy shit, you
hmm
can't.
Freaking
Yeah.
out.
I mean, there are definitely calls where you're like taken aback
Yeah.
if someone is actively suicidal. Actually, yesterday I was outside, someone came up to me and said I just overdosed and I need help.
Okay.
So took him inside, called 911, got him to the hospital. But I guess you kind of get used to it in a really weird way.
Yeah.
Um, and there's people that I've always been really good at reading people. Like that's just I guess part of who I am. Like I'm good at like reading energies and knowing where a person's at just by speaking to them, usually within the first 5 minutes. Um, but yeah, getting into my job, um, I don't know. It just kind of it comes naturally to me.
How did you stumble upon that? Like, how did that come to, into your experience?
The 988 or just like helping people in general.
No, the 988 specifically.
Um, it was on Indeed, and I had been taking a break from social work. Um, because I had worked at Rape Crisis before that. And I took about 2 years off and was just bartending and working in restaurants. And one day I was just like, I need something more. Like, this is not enough. Like, I didn't feel like I was doing what I needed to be doing. And I was just on Indeed and I saw it and I was like, well, that sounds like something that I'm good at.
That's perfect.
And so I applied and got the job. And like I said, I never prepare usually, like even for interviews. Like I'll have an idea of what I'm going to say if I'm asked a certain question, but I don't like to prepare for things. Um, and with that one, like I had experience of, I think a lot of people do, like that's something we do at the suicide hotline is in order to appreciate life, you have to think of what it would be like to not be living. It's like the balance effect. Like you have to know one to know the other. Like you don't know peace till you know suffering. You don't know good unless you've known bad. And I've experienced that myself. So it's something I have experience with. And I, you tend to be better at helping people when you know what they're going through. Even if you don't know, like no one knows exactly what you're going through. Like the way that I feel happiness is different than another person would. No one's ever going to feel the same exact way as you do, but you can at least resonate and like put yourself in their shoes depending on what they're saying and how they're saying that they feel and relating it back to you. And then what would you want someone to say to you if you were in that position?
Yeah.
So kind of how I go about it and how I got into it.
Interesting.
Yeah, because imagine if they're reaching out, they do know at some level there is a solution. So
Right.
they'd be reaching out if they didn't think there was one. And that's why
Right.
it's like for you to be on the other end, that's a sacred place to be
Truly.
because they're looking like you're there, you're between their last breath, every time.
Right.
But you have to be in a sacred place to receive that call, and uh, not a lot of people can do that.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
space you
that's
have to
Right.
cultivate to open up
yeah,
for them. That's huge.
yeah.
Mm,
Have you ever had any good
yeah, it can.
stories?
What?
Have you had good success stories with it, or is it all kind of hard?
Oh no. So we get more than suicide calls. So some people literally call just to talk.
Oh, cool.
Um, we actually do like uh addiction as well. We're all certified chemical dependency counselors that are answering the phone too. They've kind of opened up the line to everyone and anything.
Hmm.
Um, and like one of the things that they recently did, they took away the option for the LGBTQ use.
Okay.
But in place of that, we are learning and having new trainings to help those people too, because that a lot of people are under the like misunderstanding that we're just like not helping LGBTQ youth now. And it's like, no, it's just that option to press that button is gone, but we still help everybody and we're just getting extra training now.
I
Gotcha.
got you.
Yeah. But I lost my train of thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, imagine it doesn't matter what group you associate with. If you're having a problem, it's a problem.
Yep.
Doesn't matter what you affiliate or
Right.
associate with. And I think, and when you get down to it, that's a 0 point of understanding. It's like we all have feelings. We tend to kind of want to belong to this group and that group or whatever. And I get that. But when you're suffering, you're suffering.
Yeah, and that's a big thing that I thought of too is like if someone is in the mindset of wanting to kill themselves and they're reaching out for help, are they like, why would anyone care whether or not, like, who they talk to?
Yeah.
Like, does it have to be someone that is like you, or can it just be anyone? If you're experiencing those thoughts and feelings, it really shouldn't matter.
No, no, it shouldn't. It, because at that point it becomes energy, you know,
Right.
and it's synchronistic too. Because like when someone calls you and you're the one who actually picks up the hotline, that's a cosmic relationship right there. It's not for us to like, oh, this is who I need to help me. I'm like, you need help. You don't know who.
Yeah.
Like we
Right.
really don't know. We don't know. And but the universal understanding knows. So when you dial that number, whoever picks up, that was the person, whether we understand it or not. And a lot of people don't. But I'm like, yeah, stop trying to figure out, because if you could figure it out, we wouldn't be in this place, right? Would we? No.
Truly.
Exactly. And that's why I try, like, I'm always very genuine. Like, that's actually one of the things I told my supervisor when, so I've been through a lot of supervisors because social work can be like a very, uh, what's the word? Like, people go through it. Like, there's a lot of people quitting, new
High
people
turnover.
coming
Yeah.
in, a lot turnover. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've had like four different supervisors, and my newest one, we've had her for a year now. But when she first came in, I told her, I'm like, I do things differently than most people because, like I said, I read energy, and some people are calling in because they need to hear the truth,
Yeah.
you know, and based on what people are saying, a lot of times people are trying to almost validate their mental health that is harming them. And I have to, like I said, a lot of these people that call in are not actively suicidal, but they just want someone to talk to.
Hmm.
And sometimes I will tell them, like, have you taken accountability for that? Some of these things are that you're kind of choosing them.
Mm-hmm.
You're choosing to stay stuck in this pattern, you know, um, and that can be difficult for some people. Um, but at the end of the day, like every time I get off that, they're thanking me and saying that, they're glad they called and they needed this. And, so it's a big part of what I do personally is I talk to people genuinely as if I know them because like you just said, these people are calling out because they need something.
Yeah.
And what that thing is, I don't know what's best for someone. I don't know everything. I don't know the answers. I just know what I know.
Yeah.
And like I said, I put myself in the shoes of like, what would I want to hear right now?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're serving them at some level of it, not like, because I always like ponder the word helping and serving. And it's like, I don't really know what people need, but when you're in a service, I think we're all in service industry, you just give them what they want at that moment. And because they
Right.
know. And when you give it to them, they might not know that's what they need or want, but they bring it to the table, and then you just reflect back to them what it is they called up about. And it's weird, very interesting, and how things actually work out.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Fascinating.
Well,
Yeah.
and also too, like the fact that they're connected to you, Anna, is like that's a synchronistic moment in itself.
Yeah.
Somebody who's, listening to that higher self, somebody who is at that level of, awareness and, can create that space for them to, you know, feed and feel into what you're sharing. They didn't think they were going to get, um, kind of, some enlightenment when they called, and so for you to
Right.
share with them, they're leaving that phone call going, wow, there's something
Yeah.
more here.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And one of the things I want to like head down because of talking about this, and you mentioned there's a lot of turnover with your supervisors and stuff like that. And there's myriad of reasons why people leave a job. But I imagine in your position or your type of work, it's because the people can't handle it. What do you do? How you
Yeah.
get to the point where you actually can handle it? Because you seem very calm about this. So you seem to be the right person for that. You don't have like this burnout type of like one day you might leave the profession, but that's probably to pursue other things, not because you're burnt out.
Right.
And this is what every one of our listeners and we're always seeking is how do we get to this place where Anna's at,
Correct.
to where the outside world well, the outside world isn't like, listen, you work, this is a profession where you're hearing people all day long tell you about their problems. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a very, I work at, I run a hair salon, so everyone comes in, they love to see me,
Hmm.
so it's very easy.
But you have people telling you their problems all day long too. You're a
All
They
day.
do.
hairdresser.
Yeah, they
Like
do. But
seriously.
yeah, but at some level, like I know that but at some level when they do that, I've learned over the years not to hold on to the information, just real like let it flow through. So like that's kind of like a gift you have. It's like you don't absorb their energy, but what you do is you transmute it for them to redirect their energy field. So that's something like how did you get into
Right.
that, or is that something you naturally just
Great question.
yeah.
Um, so when I first got into like social work, um, I kind of was holding on to things without really realizing it.
Okay.
So like when one of my first things was the rape crisis. I started out in battered women's shelter and then moved to drug treatment, rape crisis, and now suicide. Um, at first, I held on to it a lot. So the reason I got into the social work field in general is because I came from a very abusive relationship. And I kind of, I guess, wanted to like make it better by getting into it. Kind of one of those things where it's like, oh, you're using your fear based mentality to help people. But I had to, and then that was when, I was taking on my fear and like holding it in without really noticing it and suppressing it. And I was an alcoholic for a long time. So that was my way of like getting through it. But now that I've gotten sober, so I'm like a little over a year and a half, something like that. I learned that I was doing that.
Which is huge.
So
Most people
now
don't. Yeah. Yeah, most people
what?
aren't aware. Most people aren't aware of like these things that are holding us back. So it's
Mm-hmm.
pretty big that you came to that awareness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
The past year has been insane for me, like realizing all of these things
Yeah.
because it's like I was blocking out so much by drinking, and I like it was escapism the whole entire time because I barely drank. Like well, it's funny. I drank every day, but I would only drink like one or two a day, but it was purely for escapism, so I wouldn't have to face my feelings. But getting into like how I do it now is I kind of look at every person that I talk to as a learning opportunity and how I can use that conversation to grow and learn more about myself and how I can help others and basically transmuting it into that um, instead of like holding in the negativity of it. Not that it's negative, like I don't like to think of like negative, positive, good, bad, but more as like cause and effect or learning opportunities.
Yeah.
Um,
That's what we're here for.
because yeah, because a lot of this, it's all heavy and you got to use humor. I mean, I know that sounds really weird, but people in the social work field will like definitely understand that. Like you
Uh,
cannot just take everything in and be serious about it. Like, yes, in the moment you're serious, but you have to be able to laugh about it. You have to find something
to release it.
to like laugh.
Yep.
Because laughter is the quickest release energetically. So when
Yeah,
people laugh about something, they didn't see it coming. So when you laugh, you actually release the energy that was you might have been suppressing.
Hmm.
So
right.
that's why comedians are really good at pulling out social issues in the world because they're doing it in a joking fashion. People can laugh at it. I'm like, yeah, I do that too. It's funny. But if someone actually directly said that to you, I'm like, go fuck yourself,
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
It's like, when you say it in
Exactly.
a jokey way, it's like, I do
It's
that
funny.
same thing. Yeah. And it's a tremendous
Mhm.
release from the nervous system of a physiology. And then when you release that, then the idea of how do I get through this becomes a lot easier. You know,
Mhm.
yeah, navigating becomes really tremendously easier when your nervous system is in this homeostasis place. And I can
Right.
tell by looking at you, you're a very calm person. I don't know how you were
I'm
That's
before.
trying to.
Yeah,
I'm so nervous and I look calm, so that's
yeah,
cool.
yeah,
I was gonna say you look cool as a cucumber.
yeah.
You're calm, cool, collected. You are awesome. This is going great, and it's funny because there's this book that I love. I forgot who the author is, but it's called "The World Is a Mirror," and all I could think
I
about,
have
you know what I'm
heard
talking about?
about
It's like a
that.
big
I've
book
heard
on
about this.
TikTok and all sorts of stuff. It's like this small little read. My girlfriend Kayla loves it, and she shared it with me, and it's a beautiful book because it's like very spot on, but it reminded me so much of what you were just talking to about when you were saying, you know, you get on these calls and you don't know how you're going to approach it, but you approach it and you start to learn like kind of about yourself and like you're feeding off of one another's energy, which is really what's going on with every experience we're having in life. You know, every moment we walk out, you know, our greatest teacher is what's going on. You know, what is your situation? Who are you running into? What feelings are coming up? What emotions are coming up? um, who you're interacting with, all of that, you know, is all I could think of as you're sharing is your story is so powerful because it's like you're seeing this mirrored, especially like in the different individuals you work with. I'm sure you're
Mhm.
seeing it in your writing, your poetry, your
Oh,
podcast.
yeah. It is absolutely wild, like how you apply these different things. And it's funny because like whenever I started, it's funny because I was thinking about like where should I start? Like where did my story begin? And there is no like beginning or ending when it comes to like evolving and being the person who you are becoming. Like where if they ask me to share my story, where do I start? I don't know. But I was gonna say like when I started using like different modalities, and it's funny that you bring up that book and your girlfriend, because your girlfriend actually was one of the like my catalysts of like using that. And so I was going through a bad breakup last year, and she showed up on my TikTok, and that was one of the first like kick starts of thinking differently, thinking positively. And um, it turned into, it starts with something like, like the breakup that I had, and she does the specific person manifestation. So it started out with me like trying to get this person back.
Okay.
And, and so I had these affirmations. This is a really fun story. Okay. So, like, I had these affirmations that I was doing every day, and they were about him. So, it was like, I can't remember what they were off the top of my head, but it was basically like, he is doing this or he is this way. And I had a Freudian slip the one day, and it ended up like all of those kept flipping back to like, I am. And then that's when like I got like, I call them click moments. Some people call them eurekas, or, all
Like
those different, yes. But I was like, oh my God, like it's about me. Like it's not about him, it's about me.
Yeah.
yes.
And I ended up like through that whole journey, um, like I thought I wanted that person back. And I ended up learning like that's not the person for me. And the person that I ended up with, like my boyfriend now, he stepped in the moment that I started doing all this for myself. And we had met 2.5 years ago.
Interesting.
actually on a dating app, and he ghosted me. He's gonna hate me for saying that on like a public thing. But like
No,
he
people
ghosted
love
me
this
because
because
I
it's
was
real. It's
still an
genuine.
alcoholic at the time.
Yeah,
Like,
We won't hold it against them.
exactly.
Yeah.
but it was so funny because like he stepped back into my life in that at that time,
Yeah.
and we were just, friends talking, and I was still like, oh, like I'm I'm still wanting him, so I was denying feelings for the person that I'm with now.
Yep.
And but throughout all of that, I'm like that, like I look back at it now and I'm like, I don't even know, like I know what I saw in him and I'm grateful for him. Like, don't get me wrong, but it's not a person that I would ever be with.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I'm super grateful for the journey at the
Yeah.
same time. And, with the specific manifestation person, like I know that I could have done that, but I'm glad that I chose the way that I
But
chose.
at
I
a
love
at a
hearing that.
deeper level, you are the Pacific person.
Correct.
So that's,
Right, exactly.
it's not somebody
You
outside of us.
you
It can't
found it.
be because they then have their own ideas about stuff. And we actually use that as like Mike talked about the book, The Mirror. We're really
Mm-hmm.
searching for who we truly are. And it's not a character or an
Exactly.
idea. It's we're the witness of everything that we've experienced, but we aren't that. The thing that says, I am tired, I am sick, I am happy, isn't happy. So we come back to that specific energy field. All of a sudden, that's like, hey, what direction do I want to go in? And you go to another level, and all of a sudden, oh, there's the person I want to be with because it's a different level. You don't need to.
Right.
When I go to a party, I don't bring the party with me. I just arrive, and everything in the
Right.
party's there. I might have to bring
Mm-hmm.
my own beer or whatever. Sometimes, you know, but you get what
That's
I'm saying. And that's really this journey is we utilize the other people outside of us to find ourselves or to understand who we really are. But yes, thank you, thank that guy for that experience, even if it felt uncomfortable,
Mhm.
but it led you
mm-hmm.
back to this true understanding. And then this other guy just miraculously showed up, and like you said, he was always there.
Yeah, like it was so funny because like whenever I like when they talk about like parallel timelines, I think, like jumping into a new timeline, that
Oh
kind of
yeah.
thing. I completely like, it's funny because I was thinking about like, oh, I just like jump into like a new world. And it's like, no, it's not like that. And I
Yeah.
had that moment where I remember exactly where I was, what I was thinking. Like, I was in the bathroom at work of all
Funny.
places.
But it's funny you
Yeah,
but
yeah.
mentioned that.
That's a
but it's
good
yeah,
contemplation place.
Yep.
but it's like I like it was really weird, but it's like you're just like stepping into a new level of understanding who you are and what you are, what you want. And I can't even like describe it accurately
Yeah.
for anyone that hasn't gone through that. But like you said, that's what reminded me of it. I'm not bringing the party with me, I'm walking into the party.
Yeah, and that's the thing is when you talk about timelines, that's one way of looking at it from a linear perspective. The other one is right now in this moment, every piece of music's playing. I just have to turn the station in to get to a new piece that I haven't maybe perhaps experienced before. And
Right.
like even a great musician doesn't just talk about they don't want to be a one-hit wonder. So they keep continuing writing music. So when they wrote a song and recorded it, they're literally on to the next one.
Right.
And that's what we realize this is part of life. Like the
Mm-hmm.
old song could remind me I already wrote a song so I can write another one. And it's just going into the unknown is the highest form of spirituality that we know. And when you go into the unknown, this is why you can't prepare yourself because the unknown has no advantage of preparing.
Hmm.
That's
Exactly.
but it keeps you at a high alert of consciousness. And that's what we feel. It's opening up the heart, allowing it in, and that's the heavenish feel we have in our body. And then whatever comes in, it's like, oh, this is interesting,
Yeah.
wild. Yeah.
I loved hearing you describe just the entire situation of your quote unquote eureka moment, because
Mm,
Kayla will share stuff like that with me often. You know, a lot of people will come to her, you know, or come to her channel trying to, you know, rekindle like an old love or something like that. But through their journey, they realize this is so internal game. This is all in here. Once I
yeah.
begin to heal, once I come back home, then everything on the screen starts to change. And that's what's so powerful about what you were just sharing, which is, yeah, you know, I came at it from this perspective, but on my path, it all clicked. And
Mhm.
that is what we're here to experience, is that moment of, oh my gosh, you know, go within, you know, and
Yeah,
then see the results without.
Yeah.
you have to like I had this pattern of almost like it's all like self-sabotage because you have all these like internal beliefs that a lot of people like you don't even recognize that you have them.
Yeah.
Like I had these beliefs that, you know, I basically deserved chaos.
Yep.
And
Not
and
worthy, guilt, shame. Trust me, I've gone through all the we. It's like
right,
we're all here on that same journey.
right. And like listening to you guys, listening to Kayla, and it wasn't even just like um you know, like media modalities either. Like it wasn't just on TikTok or stuff. It was in like my conversations in daily life with friends, with family, with you know, I started doing my podcast at that time. I started writing more at that time. And I started like realizing like who am I? Like what do I want to be? And learning through people at my work, you know, like learning from those. That's why I changed those experiences to learn from. And it's funny because at the end, well, not the end, obviously, but like at some point, I was like, I want to be seen, I want to be heard, I want to be understood, and I like looked back. That's why I think like the aspect of linear time as a human is important because you can look back and kind of measure like where you came from to where you are. Like I don't necessarily believe in linear time. I think, you know, time was invented by clockmakers, you know, to sell it.
Yeah, it was.
But I think it's cool to be able to measure it and like you were here, now you're here.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, because like in science, when they get into like fractal mathematics and fractal geometry, it's a pattern that we're looking at. So everyone could understand what a constructive pattern is versus a deconstructive. The deconstructive will show you this isn't working, so it's beneficial. If you don't keep, like if you're trying to build a bridge, it keeps falling, you might want to change the construction aspects of it. And
Exactly.
so the teachers, yeah. So once you start to see something work, you move in that direction. And that's really what it is. It's no, like you said earlier, there's no good or bad. There's just constructive and deconstructive. And
Exactly.
that's
I
where,
listen to a lot of Bashar too.
yeah,
So
We love
yeah,
he's
Bashar.
no,
one
yeah,
of my big ones.
yeah. And
We
when you
love.
start to look at it that way, I'm like, okay, I understand what's constructive. I understand what's deconstructive. But when I go into the unknown, I have to look for the pattern. And now I feel I understand it. So that's where the linear understanding of past and present and what we think of as future come into is because it's those patterns that I was fighting against, or they became deconstructive, and the ones I allowed come in and flow and learn from, they were constructive. But
Right.
either way, you're learning.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I messed up. I'm
Exactly.
like you didn't like a 3-year-old or like a 2-year-old or a toddler that's learning to walk when they fall down.
Mhm.
It's not that they did something wrong. It's still learning how to balance. So they learned something, and that's how we do it. So we move into another realm of our life by letting go of the old stuff. And it's not like your old
Mm.
beliefs were wrong. It's just, man, you got to let
Oh,
go of them. Yeah, like it's time to let go of them. And we don't let go of them. They hurt. And they hurt for a reason. Why? I'm like, hey, if there's smoke in your house and you're trying to silence the alarm. I'm like, you might want to deal with the smoke first, and the alarm will turn off.
Right.
Most
And
people
I
try
think
to,
those experiences are like important because, you let them go, but you have to also accept it's this balance, right? So like you have to accept that they're a part of you and they're always going to be a part of you, but you only have to use them when necessary.
I
yeah,
like that.
Like it's like, okay, so I was, like I said, I was in an abusive relationship. Okay, it's part of me. I don't have to hold on to it.
no,
But going forward, I can recognize a pattern of an abusive partner, like, but not every partner that you have to analyze and freak out about and think that they're going to do you wrong.
yeah, yeah.
You're learning how to use the mind.
Yeah, you notice the signs. Like you can, like, yeah,
Exactly.
most people can know if somebody's lying to them, even if they can't prove it.
Well, and two, what you just said, Anna, was really important because what you're talking about is developing a sense of awareness. And that's what we're all about on perspective shift. Perspective shift is awareness. You have the awareness to shift your perspective, right? And that's where most of us are stuck in life is they say, "Oh, I'm not good enough to have that healthy relationship. I
Mhm.
deserve to be in an abusive relationship." And they let the monkey mind take over, and
Mhm.
what you're saying is you rose above that. You saw
Yeah.
this mental mind pattern that you were experiencing, and you said, "Hey, wait a second. Sure, I was in an abusive relationship, but this does not define me.
Right.
I don't have to, put up with this. B, I know I'm not, I'm more than this. You created that yourself was coming out of you going, no, no, no. I know, there's more to this. I know there's truth behind this. And that's really powerful because that's the breaking point that has you where you are now, at one of the highest points in your life. And it's because you developed that awareness to the programming. And that's what we love to highlight is we are all going through these constant like emotions, and experiences. And that's why most of us have shame, guilt, unworthy, all of that. These are those lower vibrational feelings. And that's where the hive mind kind of stays. And that's where like a lot of these programming through media, movies, television, music, they want us to stay there because we're good
Yeah.
consumers when we're there. We buy more stuff. We need makeup to make ourselves look better. We pay for, medication to ease our anxiety. We keep coming back for more and more and more. And so I love your story because it's
Actually
like
us
break it
that
down.
heals ourselves,
Yes,
Yeah,
you
please.
know.
Yeah. Share a little bit about that.
I was thinking like when I came to like super self-awareness, it was it was crazy. Because it was like I describe it as, so basically like I sat with little me. I go back to a memory. I sat with little me and gave her the love that I knew that I deserved, like coming as who I am now and then like inserting myself to where I was then. And it's like in doing that, it opened up this, like, I call it like a quilt. Like it was like a quilt of memories, like all threaded together. And I noticed the pattern between like all of these experiences in my life coming from one singular moment when I was 6 years old. And it's like, oh my God, like you built your entire like life on this one moment where you were just upset, and um it's funny because it's one of those things where you look at it, and I was laughing and crying at the same time thinking the same thing. I did this to myself. So it's like I did this to myself, but I did this to myself, like all at the same time.
yeah,
That's so
but
true.
but you gotta look at it. You can't look at it as I did this to myself, and I lived my whole life like this. It's like if I had the ability to fuck up my life this much, I also have the ability to make it whatever I want it to be.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that was one of the most important things that I kept in mind was, like, yeah, you may have made some mistakes, but you learned from them.
Yeah.
And you have the power to do all of that. Like, there's so much more life to live.
Yeah, I think that's what happens is like you somehow let go of the burden that you gained at 6 years old, but the memory is still with you. But when you
Yeah.
think back about it, your body doesn't tense up. So as going through this journey, people learn to let go of the trauma and deal with it rather than suppress it. All of a sudden it comes through. Yeah, it's painful, but all of a sudden after the pain dissipates, you don't hold on to it. All of a sudden you've learned something. So now you're a better skilled individual on this planet. But we like to suppress things, and all of a sudden when something happened to you at 30, it triggers you from when you were 6 because you never dealt with it.
Right.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean you're dishonoring what happened to the 6-year-old. You're not saying, "Oh, it's not a big deal." It's complete opposite. But
It's completely different.
you no longer be hostage to the situation anymore. You're a free person now, and that's the brilliance. That's the inner child work that people talk about a lot. It's like, yeah, I'll never forget the thing that upset me, but it no longer upsets me when I think about it, and that allows me to go
Right.
forward into the unknown. Because otherwise, I'm like, fuck, I'm not going out there because if this thing upset me, what's around the corner?
What
And all of a
else?
sudden you create this box that you live in, and it's like, this is why people get
Yeah.
suicidal. It's like, man, why bother continuing?
Well,
Yeah,
I was gonna say that too. A lot of people that call in, they're just stuck in what happened to them when they were, you know,
yeah,
like 3, 4, and some of trauma is not a lifelong disorder. It is something that happens, and it's an experience that happens. And you can hold on to it for a lifetime. You're always going to have it. An experience is an experience, and you're always going to have experienced that.
yeah.
But that doesn't mean it's a disorder for life.
Exactly.
Brilliantly
It's
said.
something that you integrate.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's hard because, some people think that, this is something that they're going to have to fight for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
And it's hard to explain, to people in that kind of mindset that they can get over. I don't want to say can get over,
Mhm.
True.
Understand.
because yeah, through
Yeah.
understanding, integrating, transforming,
Yeah,
transmuting,
I love that.
like, it can be really difficult when people are so attached to that.
And so when you find someone in that place, how do you walk them through that? Like, how do you walk them through what we call hell to get through it? Because that's really what you're doing is you're helping them get through it, not to say, oh well, or pretend like it didn't happen is another weird thing.
Mhm.
Like,
Right. So
yeah,
it depends on, person to person, because some people, if you were to say, like, this is something that you can get through, they'll get mad.
yeah,
They'll get real mad. I've had people
Ego.
hang up on me. I've had people call me a bitch, an asshole.
Yep.
yeah,
I'm awful at my job. I want to talk to your supervisor. Um, and then there's some people where that is what they needed to hear at the time.
yeah,
So it's really, it depends on the person.
yeah,
Some people, I always, the way that I look at it is, if you are always coming at a situation with the intention of kindness, care, support, love, you can't really say anything wrong. Now, if you're talking to someone saying, well, just get over it,
I know
that's
what.
trauma, who cares?
Yeah,
You know, um,
like you're being superior over their emotions. I
exactly.
know
Like,
people like that.
I never act superior because I don't know.
No.
Like, I don't know what you're going through. I might have an idea,
Yeah,
but I don't know.
yeah,
So that's kind of how I walk with people. I walk beside them. I don't walk in front of them. I don't walk behind them. I'm going to walk beside you and I'm going to talk to you as I would talk to anyone.
Yeah.
I'm not going to, I've definitely learned not only through my work, but, with my romantic relationship now, like he's taught me a lot in being like, you have to say what you need to say. Cause I used to not use my voice a lot.
Yeah.
And now I say what I need to say, but I also know when to limit it,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's also who your audience is and
Mm-hmm.
And but you'll
yeah.
know.
There's like a societal norm that we have to adhere by sometimes.
Yeah, it's
I know
funny
what you
because
mean.
it's so that norm is always changing. So it's kind of like this weird game
It's
we
hard.
yeah, because you just don't like you wake up one day, I'm like, oh, they changed the rules again, you know. But people get upset at that. I'm
Oh
like,
yeah.
yeah, people get upset at that, but I'm like, you know what? It keeps you conscious. If you're playing a
Mm-hmm.
professional sport, every year there's a slight rule that changes, and if it's if you don't look at it on the off season, you're gonna come like, what the fuck happened? Like, oh, you didn't get the memo?
Yeah.
Like, no, I didn't read any emails in the off season.
We had a
What
rule
happened?
change.
Like, we can't do this anymore. I'm like, no, but it doesn't mean you quit the game, or I guess you give you a little pissed. But I'm like, well, this everyone's rules are changing, so the unknown, and
And
then
that's why it's hard too. It's like these things are constantly changing. I don't know what's up from down anymore. Like, okay, am I allowed to say this? Am I allowed to say that?
yeah,
So at this point, I'm just like, I don't care if I'm allowed or not. It's like,
yeah, that's rising above it.
yeah.
I look at like the most successful people in say athletics. It doesn't matter what rules they play in; they're still going to be the best. They'll just
Hmm.
go above. They'll get to a point where like that particular rule won't pertain to me because I don't play at that level. If I need that rule, they go above it. They don't break it, but they're so high above it, it doesn't even pertain to them. And I think, listen to you and I can just feel your energy. You're already at that level to where those don't pertain to you. So when you're saying something, you're not doing it to piss somebody off. They may get
No,
pissed off, but they may get pissed off, but you're not
they
like,
do.
you're not like, oh my God, I don't want to say something or hurt somebody's feelings. I'm like, well, then you're gonna, pissing somebody off helps sometimes. Not purposely. My intention is not to piss off my wife. Ever.
But it happened.
But it happens.
But no,
But but if I didn't speak, I'd be walking on glass every day and like I'd be this little like frightened, you know, like animal in the corner. I'm like, I can't be that way, but I certainly don't go out of my way to piss her off.
And you don't want to be fake and like
No.
be a person that like that's your wife. You should always be real with her,
Yeah.
like even if she does get pissed off. I piss off Jamie all the time.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you? I don't know.
Yeah. My wife actually laughs a lot now when I say shit. So she's gotten used to me.
she's
Yeah.
just like,
She just
oh my
laughs.
God,
Yeah. I'm like, I wasn't even making a joke there, honey. She goes, I know. It's just funny that came out of your mouth.
that you were serious.
Like, I thought I was making a point, and I realized that did sound ridiculous, didn't it?
And I think too, like a lot of what I'm hearing, and Frank, I'll hear Frank talk about this a lot. I'll hear Kayla talk about this a lot, but it's kind of like meeting somebody where they're at.
Yes.
And it's like, hey, I'm not here to drop on you that this entire thing's an illusion. You're a light being, all that. Like
Yeah.
it's a drip, drip, drip,
Oh
and
yeah.
you got to like first help them understand what like an ego identity is. We have to first, kind of comfort and console, this identity that was hurt. Okay, we have this identity that we've crafted and cultivated, and this is who we think we are, and that is hurt. And so you don't want to tell them immediately, hey, that this is all a made up identity that you've created.
Yeah.
It's true though.
Break.
And it's but that can crush people. I actually have a metaphor for that because I'm a writer and a poet. So
Perfect.
but my thing is the I always say, I'm not gonna drop the whole tree and crush you,
Mhm.
but I'm gonna plant a seed because you have the water inside yourself to water it and make it grow.
I
Yeah.
love that.
like I can't, like if I were to come to you and say like, you know, school is indoctrination and everything they're teaching you is a lie because it's built on Rockefeller's idea of what the nation should look like, they're going to be like, oh shit.
Exactly.
But instead,
He's a conspiracy
Exactly.
theorist.
Yeah, exactly. And by the way, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
The
Mhm.
Flexner report that all of our
You can ask
radicals go.
questions, but you have to ask the right questions.
Yep.
Yeah, because not everyone was indoctrinated, even though they went through the school system. People are like, wait a minute, but yet
Mhm.
when you look at it and people buy into it, you realize, okay, this is a pre-programmed
Hmm.
ideology. It's kind of like modern day slavery,
Hmm.
and it's like when you
Yeah.
become aware of it, it's like it's interesting. But if somebody isn't aware of it, and you bring it up to them, you sound like a lunatic.
Yeah, and they push back on it.
Exactly. Like they're like, "Where's your tin hat,
Yeah,
buddy?" And it's
yeah,
like,
yeah,
And they push
you
back.
actually think about it though. Like I am a
yeah,
very deep thinker, so when I think about something, like I hyper fixate on it,
yeah,
and I will I will pick it apart.
yeah.
So, and my boyfriend had trouble in school. He's one of the most intelligent people that I have ever met.
Hmm.
Um, but like it's like when someone tells you to jump, everyone else asks how high. He was the kid that asked, why do I have to jump?
Yep.
Yeah, why?
And that's looked at as, you're asking the wrong questions. It's like, well, why is there a wrong question?
Yeah,
Critical
Like,
thinking is not supported in our society. We have an
no,
authority who tells you what is right and wrong and correct and incorrect, and you will obey.
yeah, because
right.
there has to be some logical base for jumping. It's like, hey, there's something coming at your feet. Okay, I can understand why I need to jump.
And you're
Yeah,
totally
Right.
right. These
yeah,
critical thinking things, as you wake up, become more and more part of your regular day life. And you realize, wow, this entire system, this entire thing we call reality, life, USA, America, whatever, it's a created system.
yeah. Because if
And
you,
it's all in plain sight. Like,
it
Yeah.
is,
you
yeah,
don't, I think it's Carl Jung. He has the quote that's like, synchronicity is an ever-present reality for those that have the eyes to see.
correct. Yeah, we just
Yes.
talked about that on 2 podcasts ago. But
Yep. We love that.
yeah, it because like if we think about even like in school, it's just interesting. Even though they're in this mentality, they'll still teach Socrates. When you go back to the Socratic way of teaching, and like Socrates asked them, like, why do you think we do this? Not this is what you should be doing.
Correct.
And it's a whole
Hmm.
different way of educating the youth because it's you want to see how their process of thinking. So we don't want to show them what to think. We want to teach them how to think.
Right.
So that's why you throw something at them.
And we don't do that.
Yeah, no, we don't.
And
Um,
we don't support it either. In
but
fact, we kind of
I
like
know.
punish and push out,
yeah,
any outside.
People, they're like, now you have a learning disability
yeah,
because you're
I
thinking
was
differently.
yeah,
Correct.
I was told in first grade I had a learning disability,
It's crazy.
and I knew it was wrong. I knew it wasn't right, but I didn't have the intellectual wherewithal to debate it. So I'm
Yeah.
like, all right, whatever. What was beautiful about it is they held me to a lower standard. So I was like, all right, I don't have to do as much work.
So now you get
Like,
to get
oh,
away
little
with
Frankie,
everything.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm dummy. I can't read a book,
I
you know.
can't handle it.
And all of a sudden, like, oh, this is kind of easy. They're gonna leave me alone, right? It's kind of how I look at it. And every once in a while, it rear its head, and I get upset because I'm like, I know I'm not stupid,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
it's based on how they evaluated each student. And if the teacher went off the evaluation, at some level they were right, but that's a weird evaluation, is what I came to the conclude. I'm like, no,
Correct.
I'm like, yeah,
We've
sometimes,
we've all seen that image too, where they're sitting there with all like the different types of animals, and they say, "All right, everybody go climb that tree,"
yeah.
and it's like a fish and a shark and all this stuff,
But
and
the cat
Oh,
wins
yeah,
the
yeah.
game, yeah.
yeah, and we've all seen stuff like that, and it's true. We've created this weird sample of what we're calling is right, success,
Yeah.
intelligent, intellect, and we're like, all right, everybody,
If you can't climb the
regurgitate
tree, you're stupid. And the fish is like,
exactly,
seriously?
and it's
The
like,
cat's probably
get
like,
out of here.
damn, right, I'm intelligent.
Yeah, he's like, I'm the smartest
And
here.
then the bird's like,
And the fish is like,
yeah.
okay.
The bird's like, I don't even have to climb
I
the
can't
tree.
even get on land.
Yes. But this is
Yeah.
why we're having this podcast. This is why we are out there. This is why you're in the position helping others.
Yeah.
Is because the world is changing. It really is. We're entering the age of Aquarius. We're seeing more and more of these concepts come to light. We're realizing that hey, everything we were taught and sold was bullshit.
I
People are
know.
waking up to it.
Yeah, and it's kind of fun because I don't get upset at it. It's kind of like I've told this to Mike many times. I talked about on the podcast. My dad raised me with this trickery, foolery way. He wasn't a cruel man by any means, but he would play games on me to see if I buy into it. You know, I remember like he
Hmm.
put me at a box, and you may have heard the story before, but ever since I was a young boy, he says, never put your hands down when you're in the ring. That's all he kept saying. And so it's a concept. And one day I was 14 years old, him and I get in the ring and we're going to spar together. And I'm standing in the middle of the ring, the bell rings. He goes, put your hands down. I'm like, what? Put your hands down. I put my hands down and he, bam, hit me in the face. He goes, never put your hands down. And he's like, I've been telling you since you were
Well, he's
two.
basically saying like, don't do what you're told all the time.
Yeah, but what it was
Good
I
point.
never experienced to why I should never put my hands down. But then when he punched me, now I know why never to put my hands down.
Right.
He put my hands down. And I goes, I've been telling you not to put your hands down. You put him down the second time I told you to put him down, and he hit me. And in that moment, I learned that lesson. I'm like, yeah. And there could have been any other way I would have gotten it.
Yeah.
I believe because he told me for
Mhm.
20 years, like or 14 years, to not put my hands down. And that one day I put him down, he bam, like a son of a bitch.
Well, I think that's also like I think I was gonna say this earlier and then I lost my train of thought
Yeah.
somewhere along the line. But I think like one of our biggest teachers, energy is energy. It's not like the emotion. Like I've had people be like, "Oh, I'm drained of energy. I'm drained of energy," while they're sobbing, crying, and hyperventilating. And I've said to a girl before, I'm like, "Well, can I tell you something? You have a lot of energy right now.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
just expending it
Yeah.
on that." So like pain, anger, those are some of the most energetic feelings that you can have. And whenever I came to recognizing my patterns and cycles and not wanting to repeat them, like I was angry. I was outside like at night screaming at the moon like, why did this happen to me? Why did this happen to me? And it transformed into like, why is this happening for me? What is this trying to teach me? Like you start asking yourself these new questions.
Yeah.
And once you start asking the new questions, it's like it just
That's
it
really
just
brilliant.
goes.
Because that right there is the constructive way of asking, okay, rather than deconstructive, why is this happening to me? The constructive way is why is this happening for me?
Mm-hmm.
The problems or the situation went through were the same, but it's the approach. One's constructive, one's deconstructive, and that's what we're teaching is how do we get into the more constructive pattern? Well, what am I learning from this rather than this shouldn't have happened?
Correct.
Right.
Yeah,
Because if you think about patterns, like you cannot continue blaming the outside world when who's the common denominator?
yeah.
Right.
Like
Like who does it keep happening
like
to?
here in Arizona, like in the summertime, people are like, oh my God, it's hot out there. I'm like, it's July and it's Phoenix. I'm like, what did you expect? Like to keep
Yeah.
talking about the weather. It's like, seriously? I'm like, I've never met a
Well,
cold day in July in Phoenix. All right. And it's like, so let's stop talking about it. And that's what people do. They get so
mhm.
shocked that this happens. I'm like, yeah. I'm like,
That's hilarious.
look at it differently. Yeah.
Funny how that works.
The
Yeah.
last time I was in Arizona, I went and so I used to travel for a living when I was in my early 20s, and I had a job in Arizona. It was either the end of July or August, and it was like 111 degrees
Yeah.
at 10 o'clock at night. And I was like, how do people live here?
Yeah.
Like, you guys are
Yeah.
nuts.
I know.
The trick is you
I'm
hang
from
out in the
Cleveland,
sauna.
so.
Yeah, I hang out in the sauna a couple days a week, and the sauna is about 180 to 200. So it's like
Oh my
it's easy to
yeah.
get
So when
it.
you go outside, 110 is not too bad.
God.
Yeah.
It's a foolery of the brain.
We
That's all
just
it
had one of those nights the other day. We hit our hottest day so far this year was 118, and it
Yeah.
was like 110,
At
111. It
night,
was
yeah.
9:30, 10 o'clock at night, and I remember going, "Oh my God!" Luckily, that's only a short period of time.
It
We
passes.
Yep, we stay inside, air conditioned space for about 2.5, 3 months, but then
I spent a lot of time at the pools
yeah,
when I
Yeah.
was clubbing.
Yeah.
smart.
Yeah, that's how you be constructively live in Arizona. You do stuff
Mhm.
where it
Right.
complements you. Yeah.
How did you start your podcast, Anna? Tell our audience about that
So
because I want them to be able to like listen to your stuff, but I also want them to get an idea. Like, was it you woke up and you were helping people through 988, and then the podcast started, or kind of give us a little background on that?
so I'm trying to think. Sorry if I'm like pausing for a
No,
Yeah,
second.
that's
please
cool.
take your time.
Take
Or
your
you
time.
can talk about how you started writing. We know you're an author and a poet. How did these come
I
after? Have you always been an author? Tell us about like all of that.
so I've always written poetry, and I started writing a book when uh, I started writing a book in like 2022.
Okay.
And so it was like all these things I was like coming back to. So, like, except the podcast. The podcast was new, but it was like I wanted to use my voice and I wanted to resonate with people and get my thoughts out there. So it kind of really just started for me. Like I don't have a huge following and I don't do it to have a huge following. I really did it for me.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And basically what I ended up doing looking back at it now was I was like recording my journey and recording my healing.
Like
Yeah.
a voice
And
journal.
basically
Yep.
but then I started having like friends and people that I knew come on and talk to me um, because I did do a lot of solo, like just me talking.
Mhm.
I don't do as many of those anymore. I think the last one I had was actually in May, but because I'd rather like talk with people on that now.
Yeah.
Um, but so I started doing the podcast really when I started working on myself,
Okay.
and it helped me to process things out loud, like actually speaking them instead of just thinking about them or.
Mhm.
And it was funny. I was actually going to mention this earlier too, and I had that like side slip. But when I came to a certain point, I was like, I want to be heard, I want to be seen, I want to be understood. And what I realized when I realized that, and I looked back at everything that I had been doing, I had started writing, I had started podcasting, I was talking to people more, I was evolving. Like, I was like, I've been doing all those things without even realizing.
Yeah.
So it's like you get to this point, you look back and everything just adds up in your life. And you know that it's where you were meant to be, and everything that you were doing, you didn't even realize that you were doing for this purpose.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, and people are starving to hear these stories. That's why it's important to do this. Like we never know who's going to read our book, but I believe if the universe gives you the ability or the urge to write a book, people are like, well, who's going to read it? I'm like, that's not up to you.
Mhm.
It
And I don't care who reads it.
no, you shouldn't.
Like
Yeah,
I don't need people to read it. Like
'cause if, yeah.
I just wanted to get it out.
Yeah, it's cathartic. But because if you cared what people read, you wouldn't be speaking the truth. You're trying to cater to the masses, and that's a weird thing to do.
Yeah,
It's
curate a
like
book.
watching some weird.
Exactly.
It's like watching some weird TV show that you could tell is fake. Like
Mhm.
this is not even remotely close to how humans think, but they're trying to cater to the masses, and it's obvious.
But this is why
Like watching Jersey Shore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jersey
But
Shore.
this is why
I didn't realize
podcasts
that
work.
show was still going.
No, it don't.
I
Is it?
don't think it's
Yeah,
still
I was just saying, I
going.
think it's
Someone told
over.
me that Situation's still out there doing
Oh,
something.
he's
Yeah.
still out there because I saw an article about him. He's still out. I don't know if he's there filming, but he's
Listen,
still out
if
there.
you're 20, if you're 20 years old and you're using the term situation, that's one thing. But when you're in your 30s and 40s, it's not a situation. It's a crisis.
Yeah, it's a crisis.
He's got to be in like his 40s or 50s by now.
Maybe
Oh,
we,
he's definitely in his 40s.
yeah, maybe we should have him on the podcast and
Yeah,
talk about it.
have him
You
talk about his
should.
perspective shift.
Yeah, but
I think people are craving this type of authenticity.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we're seeing more podcasts pop up, why we're seeing people gravitate towards this type of media is people are tired of this scripted bullshit. The
Yeah.
same thing with legacy news. This is why people are getting their news from podcasters and, online YouTube and all this and independent research and researchers. We're tired. We have seen the same story and same, perfect, edited, cut up, everything is great
Mhm.
bullshit for the last 40, 50 years. And people
Yeah.
are tired of it. And they're like, this isn't real. This isn't authentic.
It's not real, and they try to make it look authentic.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I know
All over.
my grandmother, bless her heart, I love her to death, but if it's on CNN, it's real.
Yeah. See?
You know, like I told her, I'm like, because she was like upset about the whole like LGBTQ line being shut down on the suicide hotline, and I had to like ram it into her mind, like I work there, and that is not what's happening. I work there. Well, that's what it says on the news. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
you
It's
know,
supposed
and
to make you feel a certain way. Your mom
yes,
is now angry about this, that creates fear, that creates anxiety, that creates pain,
hmm
it,
and
it
what they do is like they script these like people that, and you can tell that it's fake.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
oh, we have this story for what this person has been facing, and it's so sad. And the reason that it's so sad is because because Trump passed this law, or like
Exactly.
something.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's just bullshit.
Yeah.
And like there's so many real things out there. That's like I listened to your guys' podcast, and they would be like old episodes, and I would be like, this actually makes me feel good. Like that it was one of my like anchors for a little bit. I had to let you guys go. I had to let you go. I still
We
listen.
served our
But
purpose, you know?
hmm,
We served the purpose.
but it
That's
was
the
like
whole point.
for a minute it was just like this makes me feel good because it I had like a bunch of like click moments, healing moments,
Yeah.
like just from listening and like resonating. And another time I have like weird, like they'll be like in the bathroom when I have these click moments. The one time, I was just like, um, I think I was like, um, I'm having this like healing journey and realized, oh, I'm healed. Like I'm done. I can choose to continue doing this
Mhm.
or I can just be done.
Yeah.
And I chose to keep going because I wanted to learn more. But I knew that it was a conscious choice to do that. And that was what I gained out of that is like I've always kind of gone on, I guess, autopilot and like making decisions. And now I intentionally make decisions.
Yeah.
Yes.
And like that's one of the big things with my boyfriend now that I always tell him, I'm like, I have partners from my past, but he is the first person that I have intentionally chosen to be with. Everyone else was like,
An addiction.
oh,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like, oh, I choose you and I don't know why, but I'm going to justify reasons for why I like you, even though there's all these things about you that I don't.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that was my past. Like that was what my pattern was, is I just kept making up. I would justify why people were the way they were.
Yep.
Because like I said, I've always understood people. I've always been able to like, help or understand. But I think for a long time, I could understand a person, but I justified them. And I had to learn like you don't have to justify and you don't have to forgive them. You forgive yourself for, getting into this situation, that kind of thing. But like now it's like, okay, I intentionally choose to be with this person because I actually enjoy him, which is
Yeah.
really fucked up to say.
Right.
Like he'll be like, "Oh, I'm the first person that you actually like," and I'm like, "Shut up."
Yeah.
It's funny when we say
It's
it
a
like
new,
that,
it seems to
It's
be a new
real though.
kind.
Like we're
Yeah.
very real with each other.
and that's healthy.
Well, yeah, it's the only way to be. And I think that's what
Exactly.
it is you're no longer walking on glass or whatever, eggshells or whatever the way we approach life. You're not worried
Mm-hmm.
about what society's going to think, although you don't purposely try to go out there and piss society off either. Because
Right.
that's the same, that's just the opposite drug of, or addiction to every other addiction. It's like, okay, I'm going to stand out by doing this. I'm like, you're still a slave to that.
Hmm.
I'm like,
Right.
you could still do the same thing everyone else does, but your approach to it, the way you feel about it is completely different.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it doesn't mean you have to dress different. It just means like, oh, I'm putting this clothes on, but it doesn't affect me either way. And there's
Right.
something beautiful about that and calming because you don't respond or react in certain situations. And also, I'm like, this is what life is supposed to be. I'm like, yeah, this is how we're supposed to live life from who we really are.
And I think that's like what Bashar really means when he's saying like it's the same circumstances with a different reaction. Like it's the same things happening, but the way that you view it is completely different. And I've had a lot of those things happen too,
Yeah.
where, there'll be people in my life and, they'll start having some sort of argument with me or something.
Hmm.
And the way that I used to approach it was I would be like, take the blame and shame and think that I'm doing something wrong. Um, but I've had, that same situation arise and I'm like, oh, this person's projecting,
Yeah. Yeah.
like I'm not doing anything wrong. This is how this person feels about themselves. But I also, like I said, I always approach things with like kindness and care. And sometimes that kindness and care is, putting them in their place
Yeah.
in a sense. Like,
Yeah.
hey, you're doing this and you're causing this,
Yeah.
and I'm going to remove myself from this
Hmm.
to help you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
sometimes you have to do that.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's what was cool. Like if you're because you seem to be very intuitive. That's like if someone's like, if this situation happens, what should I do? I'm like, I can't. You can't pronounce what you're going to do in a situation until it happens. But when you become understanding, sometimes just saying sorry will calm them down, and then you say, "Hey, what was that all about?" Or sometimes you say, "Hey, this is all on you. I'm out of here." You'll know in that moment when to do that. There
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't be a preset way of doing things because that's what makes everything fake and phony. And that's how people are like, how did we
Exactly.
get here as humans? I'm like, because somebody saw somebody do a genuine act and then they try to copy. And it's called in religion, it's so-called doctrination. Because when they did that that real act, they think it was the act. I'm like, no, it was the way they felt that generated the act.
Yep.
And this is how doctrine starts. So everyone's trying to mimic that. I'm like, no, it doesn't work that way. It's
Right.
what was the person feeling prior to them doing the act? That's what I want to know.
Mhm.
Not the act. I don't
And
care about the act. What were they feeling? How was the energy running through their body? When the energy is running through my body, I'm going to respond and react differently every time I enter into a field.
Hmm.
yeah.
And that's
And I think it's important to like validate people's feelings
yeah,
because they are entitled to them.
yeah,
Because like even if it's not your intention to hurt their feelings, if their feelings are hurt, then their feelings are hurt. And I actually have a thing that I kind of go by regarding that is I'll be like, I'm sorry I'm sorry I hurt your feelings. Your feelings are valid. It wasn't my intention to hurt them, but my intention is irrelevant when it comes to feelings.
yeah,
So like that way they're getting that validation, but then also like explain what you really meant by the thing that was said,
Yeah.
like because your intention matters as well.
Yeah.
You don't want to put one above the other
Yeah.
because they both matter.
Yeah. And that's where communications come in. Like, and that's, I think a lot of us are poor at communicating. So it's like, that's not what I meant. Well, explain to me what you meant without yelling at me, you
Mm-hmm.
know? Um, and that's,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where we're heading into in the world right now. We're learning how to communicate better with each other. And in spite of all this stuff where like certain generations, because they didn't have to interact because of social media, in spite of that, I think we're going to become better communicators. People think it's going to head down the road. I'm like, it's getting so bad out there. We're all going to let go of it. That's how I look at it. The weight
Mm-hmm.
of this way of living is going to become so heavy. We're just going to finally let go, right?
Yeah.
Because older generations always want to think they had it better or they did it better. I'm like, like I don't think so. No, it's true because I'm a different gen. I'm like almost
Yep. Gen
20
X.
20 something years older than you are.
Yep.
And but I don't want to think my generation was better than his because that's a weird thing to seem. I dealt with different stuff, it didn't make it better. But then I could pull my grandfather into it, and he'd be like, "You guys are lazy bastards," It's
Yeah.
like, all right, fine. Like, how far back do we go?
Well, and that's the thing. And in reality, we're actually evolving every generation. Like our kids are going to be stronger than us, and so forth. That's at least the whole
Yeah,
point of how that works.
but you have to change the metrics of what that is. That's what it
Mhm.
is. Is people if they don't change the metrics, it looks like they're becoming weaker.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's something understanding about that. But there's part of it too, like like the older generations, like why are kids getting so emotional now? It's like, well, you don't want to like. It's because they're becoming more sensitive to what we weren't as sensitive to lies. We just put up with them. But okay, they become more
Mhm.
sensitive to it. Okay, now the older generation, our job is to show them how to mitigate and go through it. Not to now it's like you said, actually to validate the emotion, but okay, why do we feel this way?
Mhm.
Because I've already been through that.
Mhm.
But why do you feel this way? I don't know. And then you start to walk them down the path so they can let go of it, not to fight against each other. Each generation has its handoff, but we're handing off to a generation that's going to expand beyond us. Even Jesus said, even least among you is going to be greater than I. And the reason he said that is because you're going to continue down this path.
Mhm.
And it's
Right.
like people like, I'm like, what? I'm like, yeah, Jesus himself said that you're going to be greater than I. So he's coming from the old school teaching you this, but what, like, yeah, you're going to go far beyond the teaching what I'm even teaching. And people like, I'm like, do you realize that? That's the true understanding of what he said. But if you want to still circle the wagons here, go for it.
Mhm.
But it doesn't
And,
work.
and people will, I feel like a lot of people will think like, oh, well, it's like we keep repeating the same things over and over again, like throughout the generations. So it's like, I mean, in a sense, yeah, but at the same time, it's this what we were just talking about, like maybe the same circumstances, but we're coming from it with a different angle. Like, okay, so now we have social media. We didn't have that,
Mm.
like 50 years ago. Even when did social media come out? Like
Not like
early
15 years.
2000s?
Yeah.
Well, like I remember, like this is a good like a point of it. The iPhone came out in '07,
Yep.
so the iPhone really blew
Oh
up
my
social
God.
media.
Isn't that crazy?
So, because now you had it in, because before that was like a flip phone, right?
Yep.
So when the iPhone came out, you actually had it at your call and beckon, where before, like, how to get home to my computer. Now it's like, so in '07 is where it started really blowing up. But
Well,
it's
yeah,
always
we
been
had it
coming.
on us at every
Yeah,
time,
yeah,
every moment of the day.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, because I don't think I even really had a cell phone in high school.
Hmm.
Like I had like the flip because I'm not gonna say how old I am. I'm 29 forever. But
Hey, we're the same age.
Yeah, exactly.
my grandma never aged past 54. She's still 54
It's
actually.
amazing how that happens.
I love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's like, yeah, they may seem to be circular patterns, which they kind of are, but we're looking at them with new things, new technologies, different
Yeah.
experiences that like mold the way that the country is as a whole, as society is as a
Yeah.
whole.
Hmm.
Because it's like, in the past, did we experience COVID? No, but we experienced the plague. Sure. Like it's different things.
Yeah, and I
That's
think
fun.
because it's more of a spiral we're experiencing. So a spiral, when you look at a certain angle, looks like a circle, but when you look into it and it's stepwise, it's
The
rising.
helix.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yep,
exactly. Yeah. So if you look
exactly.
at it at a certain angle, it looks like a circle. And you think,
Mm-hmm.
okay, we're going around in a circle. I'm like, no, but there's this, like even season, when you look at
Getting
how
greater.
the earth is, it's being pulled by the sun in this,
Yeah.
but the sun's also being pulled by the Milky Way and the black hole. So it's moving too. So it's this
Mm-hmm.
whole spinning, but you're never in the same spot, even though the
Exactly.
cycles come around. Yeah, it's a
Mhm.
different thing. It's,
I think a lot of people, like, there's so many ways of looking at a spiral. There's
yeah,
the flat, and then you can also look at it as lines. Like if you put it, you know,
yeah,
sideways, like it's like three lines, or you can look at it as spiral or a helix. I always look at it as a helix, like a hyperbola, like,
yeah,
because that is the structure of physics. Like
yeah,
that's really like the void, where creation begins,
yeah,
is the center. That's why they always say go within, because you're the center.
yeah. Where is this?
Everything
Yeah,
relates.
That's what people are coming to the understanding of is we have tried and exhausted everything out here, so let's start to go in here.
yeah,
And I think that's going to be the huge turning point and how we're going to see a lot of, what we call our problems solved or pain and suffering begin to diminish and turn into love and hope is
Mm-hmm.
people are finally saying, hey, we play a role in this. We're acknowledging that how we think and how we feel makes a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Where before we're like, why does it even matter what we think or feel? The outside's like this, and that's at least the world I grew up in, and I'm watching that
Mm-hmm.
narrative totally change.
yeah. Because lately I've been hearing a lot of people quote Rumi,
Yeah.
and it's one of his famous quotes. Is yesterday I was clever, so I tried to change the world. Today I'm wise, so I try to change myself.
Hmm.
I
And
love that.
what's interesting is a lot of people are starting to understand that quote because Rumi's this has been
Been
around
around
for
for
a
a
long
while.
time, and
Well, it's so funny.
it
Like
all
there's so many
yeah,
quotes and like movies, like
yeah,
um music. I listen to music differently now.
Oh,
Like
absolutely.
it's literally just the way that you're thinking about it, feeling about it. Like
yeah.
it's one of those things where it's not a thought, it's not a feeling, it's like an awareness and observation. Like I don't really know how to explain that,
It's because every
but
time you look at something, you're at a different vantage point, so you can't
right,
hold the old vantage point anymore. Oh, you don't deny the old vantage point, but I'm like, huh.
right.
Every time I go higher up the mountain, the valley looks different. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like you're at a different vantage point. Yeah,
It's really cool. And it's like one of those things, like being within like society, it's more of I'm at like an observational, like I'm not like I don't include myself in society. Like I'm more of like an I'm observing it happening
yeah.
instead of being so wrapped up like, oh, this is so exciting, or oh my gosh, the world is ending. It's more of like I'm looking at it and just being like, interesting.
I'm
Well,
so glad you said
yeah,
that.
that's the highest
I'm
form of
so
spirituality, by
glad
the
you
way.
said
'Cause
that.
that's the highest form of spirituality is you're not utilizing your ego in it. You're just observing it because that's who
Correct.
we really are. We're the
Even when
observer.
it's exciting though, that's the hard part. Is
Yeah.
I remember
Yeah,
detaching when it was difficult and things like that, or I'm gonna observe. But to even detach when it's like quote unquote exciting or something good's happening, that's like a
Mm-hmm.
true level of awareness and understanding. We were talking about the other day when I was in your salon.
yeah.
It's like these being aware of these type of things, even when things are going good or going well.
What we deem to be is
Right.
good. Yeah,
Yeah,
is
you
that
know
every yeah? It's all is good in a sense,
exactly.
But
Mhm. It's
yeah,
like I try to see positives in things, like, it depends, like with a
yeah,
lot of the political stuff. Um, and I have a lot of like liberal family members, but I also have conservative, friends, family,
Yeah.
and I just try to see the positives,
Yep.
Yeah.
like in my mind, what the positive would be. And I'm just like, okay, that's what's happening. That's what I'm deciding is happening. And if it changes or something proves differently, then I'll deal with that then. But this makes me feel okay with how it's going, and I'm just gonna
Well,
look at it and be like, okay.
the thing
Yeah.
about the positive and negative, like the liberal and the conservative, the good thing about that is they're both right and they're both wrong, at the same time. And
Exactly.
the thing is it's like where you're coming from is what you're going to experience. So if you're coming from this place of, whatever that is, you are right. You're going to find
Right.
all the information to back that up and prove it, and it's going to be shown to you. And that's where we need to get people to kind of come from is what are you
Mhm.
looking for? If we're looking for peace, if we're looking for harmony, then that's where we need to put our attention and our focus, not on this stuff pulling us off to either side or this or that or who's right and who's wrong.
Yeah.
They're both right.
Well, 'cause,
Mhm.
yeah, if you look at like conservatism and liberalism, if you look at it as supporting components opposed to objective components, that's what we're looking at. So when you look at the word conservative, it comes from the word conservation. Conservation of principle doesn't change. So like gravity is a conservation principle. Like, maybe there's other places where gravity won't exist, but here it does. So in order to elevate or what we call liberate ourselves from a higher space, understanding gravity will liberate me. So I need conservation and liberation because everyone wants to liberate. So when you put those in supporting components, it's completely different. But when you're putting
Right.
opposing, it creates war. I'm like, so why would you put like? So I always ask people this question: what's better, breathing in or breathing out? They're like, what? I'm like, yeah, it's called breathing. So you should never have these opposing each other because try just breathing in and see what happens.
Good luck.
Mhm.
Actually, everything is made to support each other, not go against. So a conservative and liberal is two sides of a coin.
Mhm.
But the media made it like the two opposites on the complete spectrum. Like no, they're
That's what I
not.
was gonna say is
Yeah.
like the way that the way that it works makes sense, but the way that they present it is
Yeah. It
that's what causes the diversity and the diversion, because it's really two wings of the same bird. I call it the same dead
yeah.
bird most of the time.
And if
But
yeah, because if you
but
ask a bird which wing is better, the bird's gonna be like, that's a stupid question.
Mhm.
exactly.
Yeah, it's not the question you should be asking.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's cool to see that. But I mean, the more that this information gets out there, the more that these concepts get discussed, the more the hive mind itself wakes up. Because even look at like what's
Exactly.
going on in like quote unquote legacy media and stuff like that. We're seeing things start to change, and like things that were never discussed 10, 15 years ago are being discussed right now about
Yeah.
our food supply, about, vaccinations, about also the stuff that they're spraying in our skies that we were told, you were a conspiracy theorist 10 years ago for saying, all of
Like
these things.
whoever thought that that was a conspiracy? Like, do you not see it?
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly. I get it. I trust me, but there's people who will deny it all day and say, "Oh, it's from this and that." That's the thing. I love it. The scene from The Matrix where he's telling them like how when you're stuck, you will fight for the Matrix. You will stay
mhm.
stuck and you will fight and back up this bullshit system just because it's all you know. And
Oh yeah.
you have to like detach from it to be able to be comfortable enough to say, "Whoa, oh my gosh," and see it. Otherwise, you're like grasping because you think your whole reality is going to fall apart.
And this is why it's imperative for you to do what you're doing. And because in physics, we know this now, there's a thing called transmutation. And even historically, when they go back, I remember hearing this not that long ago, that the Revolutionary War was enacted only by 4% of the 13 colonies.
That's crazy.
It's all 4%, 14% want to take
Wow.
action. So the thing is, if we're in that 4% perspective shift, your podcast and your books or whatever, that's going to alleviate people to be drug in because everyone wanted, but
Yeah.
everyone was too scared about it. Even the British soldiers want to be back in England, home with their families. They didn't want to be here, like making sure you didn't step out of line. So everyone wanted it, but there's only 4% of the people said, I'm done with this. So
Mhm.
I look at the world. I always tell people, this, and I use this mathematically. Say there's like 3.9999999, and you're that oh 01. Make sure you do your job, because you'll
Right.
tilt the scales and change everything. Even the people who are suffering will be pulled out of suffering, whether it's directly through the way you're talking to them or what we call through transmutation. Like they've done this with the studies of monkeys, or a monkey on this continent will do this, and some similar species, and that's where entanglement comes from. Some similar species on another continent that didn't take a vacation. Hey, look
Never
what we
met.
do in America.
Yep.
They started doing it. So when we
Mm-hmm.
start to open up our minds, because I want to believe some other individual opened up their mind, and that's how I opened up mine.
Mm-hmm.
It
And
wasn't, yeah, and it happened. And I'm like, I don't know why it happened, but it did. But now I'm here to share it because it's a gift that we must share.
mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And I think it's like the people that are meant to hear it will hear it.
they will.
And that's why I always like I do, with people that call in, there will be people that they're so upset with their lives, but are justifying reasons
Yeah.
for why they can't change. Like they're justifying their depression, they're justifying their anxiety. Well, I'm this way because of this, and I'm this way because of this. And I'm like, well, why?
Mm-hmm.
People get mad. Like you said, like people will like defend
Yeah.
Yeah.
the things that
Hurt them.
they believe that they are,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
which makes sense, like we're terrified of being destructed, even though what you would be destructed from is destroying you, essentially. um but like I try to tell people, like, life is a continuous stream of loss, and once you recognize that, to be grateful for it is when you open up.
Mm-hmm.
And like the only way that something can be rebuilt is if it's destroyed first.
Yeah.
And
That's what, like,
um
yeah, that's what Jesus talked about, the death.
mhm,
It wasn't like necessarily the physical death. It was letting go of the old construct of who you are to be reborn into this understanding. And that's where it's like, oh man, now I understand that. Like I didn't want to have to freaking die on the cross to get there. Like,
right, but you have
yeah,
to. It's like,
yeah,
nobody tells you that rock bottom has a basement.
Yep.
yes,
but
yeah,
but but there's also a ladder if you actually look to find one.
yeah. And when you look at it,
It's just about making the decision to find it and to look.
yeah, I love how you say that because there is this understanding that there is an end to negativity, but there is no end to positivity. Because
Hmm.
in the field of negativity, it's deconstructive, it's composing, it doesn't break down. But when you're like, what's the highest stream of love you can have? I'm like, I don't know, but I'm willing to
Right.
find out. But like, I know what the depths of hell are like. I've been there, and it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't, like, if you're upset, you're upset. Like, I could get more upset. I'm like, it's like my dad said to me, like, he would say stuff when I was whining. He's like, are you crying? I'll give you something to cry about. I'm like, how much more crying can you put on top of me? Like, that makes,
Right.
like,
And then you learn
I
what
don't even
then you learn
understand
how much.
it. So you start to think about it. I'm like, I can't handle this. I don't need another bit of this. It's just nothing more you can do to me that, but then it's like when you start to open up, how high can one go? And it's like, I have no idea. And
Mm-hmm.
that's where like the stairway to heaven idea came from.
It's infinite.
Mhm.
It's wow. And that's a beautiful, so looking up is more expansive than looking back or down. So
Mhm.
the design of this world, this experience, is one in our favor.
Yeah.
It's in our
And
favor. It's like, yeah,
it's in our favor in whatever way we choose
yes,
to.
yeah,
Because like your favor could be unconsciously the bad things that you don't like.
You're
yeah,
right.
yeah. Like, yeah,
Like
Good
if
call.
you're so focused in defending, I am this depressed person and I have to be this way, then you're going to get a lot more of that.
yeah,
And it's sad. I try to come about this with people, like letting them know this in the most gentle, like kindest way, because like the reason I do this is because I love people.
Yeah.
I want to help them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like, and like I said, I do get some people that get angry or upset and mad at the things that I say, but it's like,
You
I
planted a
just want
seed.
to help you. Like, I don't want to see you be sad. Why should I validate your sadness when you don't enjoy being sad?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It is a crazy dilemma, right? It really is. But
Hmm.
I've been there, so I get it. Like
Yeah.
yeah. I
And
was,
sometimes you do need that validation. Like, that's why I like it really depends on what the circumstance is. And that's why I don't like to give like a direct answer. Because it's like, I've been in situations where, like I needed validation, but I never got it.
Mhm.
yeah.
So there are people that really do need that, but there's also people where like they continue getting validated by everyone and that's why they stay stuck.
Yep.
Yeah. Yes.
And that's what it turns into is that,
Yeah.
which is,
Right.
yeah, this
Like,
identity of this always happens to me. I am this victim.
Yeah.
right.
Yep.
And I've just never had, that's something that even in that relationship I was in, I never had the victim mentality. I was always like, nope, nope. Like I always had that more like survival tactic technique.
Yeah.
But I came to realize, in the past few years, like the survival isn't good either.
Mhm.
Because
No,
what I did with that was literally like built walls that are like 10,000 feet high that no one could ever get over.
Yep.
yeah, it's like watching a John Wick movie. Like, how many people does he have to kill to where you finally just sit on the couch and watch a Netflix show?
Yeah. Right.
It's like it's slaying the
Mhm.
dragon. I'm like, why are you still slaying the dragon? Like, yeah, you like
Right. Like
defend
the
it.
dragon's not there anymore. He's gone.
Yeah, and it's
Good
so
point.
yeah, just put the sword down. And it's like this anxiety. I'm like, at the end, John Wick's gonna make it out, but to what point are
Mhm.
we fighting
Hmm.
battle? I'm like, why even pick up a gun? You know?
Right.
Yeah, and then when we learn to do that, we step away, and all of a sudden, the other person is just swinging at the fences, is what they call it.
Mhm.
You know? And it's like, oh, and then you're kind of like Bugs Bunny. So like, what's up, Doc? Like, what are you doing? And you start to realize, like, how's this working for you? One of the greatest questions I ever asked when I was younger, when I was a young man, I was doing something, and the person asked it out of like true honesty and care. It's like, well, how is that working for you? Because if it
Hmm.
was working for me, I wouldn't be complaining about it. But I was
Exactly.
justifying, like you said, people were justifying what they were doing, and it's not my problem. He goes, well, how's that working for you? And I'm like, what?
Mhm.
like, like it's
It's a good
not.
question
That's
to
what I
be
was just
asked.
saying. Yeah, it actually turned
Absolutely.
my I'm like, that's a weird question. Like, or they could have said that bastard shouldn't have done that to you.
Mhm.
Hmm.
How is this working for you? Like, what are you talking about? Talking about this problem that happened. How is it working for you? I'm like, at the time, like, what are you even saying?
Mhm.
And it
You're
literally,
probably just taken aback, like,
yeah,
what?
my brain just blew up, and then I started thinking about it. I'm like, yeah, it's not working for me.
But those are like the
Yeah,
catalyst type of
yeah. Oh,
moments
beautiful.
Mhm.
that
Yeah,
like Anna has when she's on the phone with a client or something, and
Right.
they ask to speak to your manager, or they say, "Hey, they blow up on you, or whatever."
yeah,
They
Hmm.
leave going, "Wait a second,"
yeah,
like, and you have planted a seed. And so again, we may not know this, we may not like how the experience happened, but that was their seed that you planted for their journey. That maybe that was the only time you crossed their path, but the next time these concepts come up, they're like, "Shit,
yeah,
I remember when I called in 988 and that lady freaking put me in my place,
Hmm.
And I got
Yeah.
all pissed, but she asked me this question, like, how is that working out, or whatever it
yeah,
may be. And I know you have to, lightly go into it, and it's case by case, and there's no one size fits
Yeah.
all. But those moments, even if they feel awkward or don't turn out how we would consider, great, you have now set a new timeline for their history.
Right.
yeah,
And honestly, like there's sometimes that I want to say something and it'll be kind of a risk. You know what I mean? Like this person can either take what I say and take it in the way that I mean it and it can be helpful, or they can completely be like, fuck you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
crumble.
But I had that happen yesterday, actually. It was a woman that had lost her son, which is one of the most
Yeah.
difficult things you can do, is, losing a child. Um, and she had some other things going on. And I said something to her like, you know, I mean, I know that you've experienced all these things, and these are very, very awful things to experience. But sometimes, in order to make space for something better, we have to lose things. Not that the things that we had before aren't good or great, or, you know what I mean? Because someone could take that as being very,
Of course.
very bad.
Of
Yeah.
course.
Like,
Like,
so,
like you're a
I hope this one.
but
sociopath.
I don't mean it as bad.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's funny.
But
It's like there are people that like talk about these things, and sometimes they will label them as sociopath. I'm like, no, the intention is what differs a sociopath from someone that is conscious or dealing with compassion.
mm-hmm,
You care. I care so much that I'm not going to let it bother me. Where a sociopath just doesn't let it bother him.
right.
So that's what people are like. You sound like a sociopath." I'm like, no, no, it's not. It's not sociopathic tendencies, but people look at things and like, okay, if you do this, you must be a sociopath. I'm like, stop linking it that way. That's not true. And that's why they get upset, because they think you're going out of place that you don't care. I'm like, no, no, no. I care so deeply. I want to relieve your
Yeah.
pain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Luckily that person took it the way that I intended it
Okay.
to.
There you
Good.
go.
And
Yeah.
like it hit, and it was actually really good, at the end of that call. And these are the good, like the good feeling, like satisfying calls that I will have, where at the end they're like, you really made me think about things that I haven't thought of in a long time, and reminded me of different things. And I'm glad that I was able to talk to someone, get these things off my chest, blah, blah, blah. So like that's one of those things that is really great about my job, is when you do get to help someone
How about that?
because they're seeking help.
Yeah. Yeah. Because, yeah, you're always planting seeds, and sometimes the
Mm-hmm.
harvest grows quicker on certain types of, crops, if you will, than others. And
Exactly.
so that's what it is. We have to like, am I doing good? I'm like, yeah. Even if someone hung up yelling at you, you already planted that seed. They
Yeah.
might not sprout for another year or so, and then like they
Mm-hmm.
think back, I'm like, yeah, remember I was on the phone with Anna? Maybe I should call back and apologize. Yeah, she's probably going to. But like, that's what happened. So that like it's funny how sometimes you get the immediate gratification, and sometimes it's a long drawn out thing. Because like I've had people tell me stuff, and it was for many years later I realized they were my greatest teacher, but I hated them at the time.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, like I
Yeah.
I definitely went through that. It was like, when I decided to use like the world as a mirror
Mhm.
kind of thing, I did that not only with the present, but I would go into like memories and like thinking of like, well, what did this mean? And like think of different things. And there was a few different, like with a couple of my exes, um, where they were like, just love me, or like, why don't you love me enough? And like things of that nature. And I was like, holy shit,
Yep.
like I
It,
didn't love myself. And
exactly.
I never even thought of myself as that either. Like I've always been like, I love myself, but it was like a subconscious, like unconscious thing, that it's not that I didn't, but I didn't,
Yeah.
you know?
But when you look back now, it's how we go back into the past and revise the story. Not that you're
Exactly.
changing the story, you're revising it the way you look at it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like someone can watch a movie. I'm like, I didn't like that. And they watch it again. I'm like, I actually liked it now. I'm like, well, you're in a different position. The movie actually didn't change, by the way.
Mhm.
How I
Right.
looked at the movie. Like maybe I was tired and maybe I was in a bad place when I watched the movie. So it's called revision. That's a brilliant thing that we have. We can go back and revise like you did to your 6-year-old self. You revise that
Exactly.
story. And it's brilliant. Like that's the brilliance that we have. We have a thing called revision.
Right.
Great
And
gift.
it's like the movie, it's the same as memories because it's like it just depends on where you're at in your life.
Yeah.
Like you can look at the same memory and be sobbing
Mhm.
Yeah.
and you were so ecstatic the last time you looked at it. And a memory is just remembering the memory from the last time you remembered it, anyways. And it's in the present moment.
Exactly.
And
That's
that
all that really
and
is.
that's why it can be
Yeah.
revised.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that
Yeah.
that's the whole point of this show. That's the point of your show. That's the point of your
Mhm.
book.
Yeah.
It's what we're all trying to share. That's why this conversation has been beautiful. And
Yeah.
like this
It
is
really.
this is what we're trying to share with this is what people are looking for too. We wouldn't be having this conversation if there wasn't out there, people wanting this information.
Yeah.
Right. And that's really like what my book is about is that transformation, like the whole like, I started with, like the destruction leading into the transformation and going through it and ascending and like ascension doesn't stop. Like there's always room to go forward and we're taught that we need to have goals and you have to accomplish this and you have to accomplish that. But there's really no point because, like, once a billionaire is a billionaire,
Yeah.
he doesn't stop,
No. No.
like there's always more to be achieved.
Hmm.
Yeah. And
So
then,
you can never have a goal. I mean, you can have goals. Goals are cool,
yeah.
but
But
it's not the end.
Yeah.
no, it's not because, and that's what they like. A lot of people coming out that are very successful and have money. I remember Jim Carrey was one. He spoke at a commencement.
I love
He had
Jim
this
Carrey.
famous commencement speech where he's telling the students, "I hope you get everything you ever asked for and everything you want, so you can." And he did the messages so you can finally get on with your life.
Hmm.
Right.
And when we're young, we have goals. We want this. When we meet them, maybe in the moment of actually recognizing we're actually at that place, the understanding of wanting or searching is disappeared. So the heart opens up. So the energy, the nervous system changes. But then a second later, it's like, oh, now I need this to go with this. And this is where people get like really screwed up. I'm like, there's nothing wrong with having $1 million, but that's going to make your life more comfortable, but not happier, not fulfilled. Fulfillment comes from
Exactly.
within. Yeah, if you're a millionaire, great. If not, who cares? Like that shouldn't
Hmm.
be a goal, you know?
Sometimes what you want is not what you need. And when they do align, then that's great. But like I tell my boyfriend all the time, I'm like, you always give me what I need, not what I want. Because I'll be like, give me the, and he's like, no.
Mm.
And then it'll like turn into like something that I actually needed,
Yeah.
not necessarily like at the
No.
time,
Yeah.
but
Actually, Bashar has a famous quote about abundance. Abundance is the ability to do what you need to do when you need to do it, not want. Because we don't,
mhm,
like, we can only objectively understand what want is based on something we experience, and that's not really going to help us. Like, everyone wants more
exactly.
money. I'm like, why? They can't even answer that question. Like, a bigger house. I'm like, why do you need a big house? You can't. All of a sudden, after a while, I'm like, why you step asking me stupid questions? I'm like, why do you want that? Because somebody else had it and you don't. So you're actually starting from a place of lack. And
Yeah,
that's hell.
a lot of people want money and they don't even know why.
Yeah.
Yes.
They just want money
Yeah.
or they want money to survive.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it's like, so you're living your life to survive?
yeah. I see millionaires that are surviving and they have $1 million. So
Right.
yeah, and they're stressed out. And I'm like, okay, that didn't resolve that,
Hmm.
you know? So, but it doesn't mean we renounce that stuff either if it comes our way, because, you
Mhm.
know, I tell like if you become a millionaire, it means you're gonna have a big project in your life to spend it on. Yeah.
Exactly. Like Elon Musk doesn't have a million, built. He's not the richest man in the world because he loves money. He's the
No.
richest man in the world because he wants to go to fucking Mars.
Correct.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. He wants to make.
Elon just wants to go home,
Yeah.
Yeah. He wants
Literally.
to go home. Yeah. I'm like, the Earth is like Disneyland. Like to me, Mars is like the Sahara Desert. You know,
Yeah.
I guess he is like I joking around and say that, but like, yeah, whatever. But yeah, like I said, he's not obsessed with money. He's obsessed with exploration.
Yeah.
Right.
How can I get this
It's
rock
like
to
if
work?
you don't have a reason.
No, it's just it's that childlike exploration that makes him one of the richest men in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Not
Exactly.
not because of greed like the Rockefellers,
Yeah.
where they were
Oh
trying to
yeah.
control the world. Yeah.
Mhm.
So there's a
Mhm.
different parallel here, and it's like, yeah. So it doesn't mean having billions of dollars means you're evil and trying to control, even though people try to put him in that category. I'm like, no, he sees something that's not working. He's trying to change it.
Right.
But not everyone's ready for it. So they think he's he's an oligarchy. And like, like, I
Mm.
don't think so.
Well, there's some people that think he's trying to, change things for worse,
Mhm.
Yeah.
like make things worse.
Yeah.
And I, the way that I look at change is I don't see how change can ever be worse.
Correct.
Yeah. Because you have a great mindset. And that's just why you need to do your podcast to share this information with people because people may have never heard this concept before.
Mhm.
But
Right.
all is good.
Hmm.
It really is. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, it's how you look at it.
And change is always uncomfortable. The thing is that
Yeah.
people are so used to having life a certain way. And it's like, but has it been working? Like the
Oh,
whole time we've just
oh,
talked,
yeah.
everything that we just talked
We
about,
complain about.
those are things that you're used to, that you're familiar with. But is that good or is that bad? Do you like that? Do you
Yeah.
like the way
Right.
that we're living right now?
Yeah.
Because personally, I think it's kind of fucked up.
It is. It is. But when you let go, it's kind of exciting. It's
Yeah.
and that, so the theme of the world right now is learning to let go. And because whenever we let go of something, we think we're going to fall and drop, but it's not holding us up. It's actually holding us down. So just like a hot air
Mhm.
balloon lets go of the tethering, well, the tethering goes up. But the hot air balloon doesn't need more hot air. It just needs to be detached from the earth in order to float.
Right.
So people understand the physics behind this. So what we're talking about isn't philosophy, it's literally physics. We start to
Hmm.
understand this. There's higher logic in this. I'm like, when you let go of a belief, you go to a higher place. That belief served you. Don't
Right.
condemn it. It served you, but now it's time to let it go. And then you
Mhm.
go here, and then you're going to keep doing this as time goes on. How high can we go? I don't know, but I'm enjoying the view right now.
Right. Like it's so funny how people don't connect, like mental awareness and the concepts that we're speaking about with like Nikola Tesla
Yeah,
and physics. Like, why do you think Nikola Tesla was such a fucking genius?
yeah.
Like,
You understood this.
he understood that it's universal and he was condemned for it because of greed,
Oh,
like
Yeah,
JP
yeah. But
Morgan's
now,
a
but
fuck.
now the thing is, we know that story now.
correct.
I remember,
Hmm.
like when I was in college, I had this. I was in audio engineering, and I had this professor who was an engineer professor, and everyone were doing taking notes. He would walk around and talk about this guy Nikolai Tesla, which I never heard about this in the '80s, and I'm like, this guy's a fucking lunatic. I'm like, is this gonna be on the test? I'm like, he's like, Edison's a fraud, Nikolai Tesla. And 10 years later, I'm like,
He
oh,
has Edison's a
Yeah.
fraud. Oh my
You're
gosh,
like,
my
great.
my
like,
boyfriend is
I
a
hear this guy.
like,
I'm like, I would hear him talking, like he sounds like a lunatic. And then years later, I realized, oh, he was onto
That guy
something.
was exactly right.
Because the
right.
first time after that, I heard about Nikolai Tesla because of my professor dropping that seed.
Hmm.
Right.
I actually dove into Nikolai Tesla many years ago because I never heard of it. And everyone's like, oh, the Tesla car. I'm like, yeah, Elon did that after Nikolai Tesla. And,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I'm like, yeah. I'm like, but because of my professor, where I thought he was just a lunatic, dropped the seed. I'm like, this guy's out of his fuck. He's about to snap. Like, he is the crazy professor. And he was right. But that seed, it took many years for that thing to germinate. But
That's so
it's like,
funny.
holy shit. All right, there's something
We
here.
water them in our own time.
Yes, yeah. I was
That's
having a
exactly what
drought for
happened.
many years, by the way. uh,
So,
yeah.
so Anna, you got to tell our audience where they can find your information. Where can people look you up? How can somebody reach out to you if they want to, ask you a question? If somebody wants to talk to you about your podcast, where can they buy your book? Tell us some areas where some of the audience members can
Yeah, to
can
get to
reach
know
you.
you better. Yeah.
So I have a link tree that has like all of the information on that. I believe it's Linktree, Anna Marie with
Okay.
two eyes,
Okay, yeah, we'll put that.
89.
Yeah, we'll put that on our link.
Yep.
Yeah.
This will go in the subject line so they can find you where? TikTok, Instagram, Spotify, like where are your main areas?
Um, Spotify, Facebook.
Okay.
I think I have an Instagram.
Okay,
Yeah, all
gotcha.
right.
Instagram.
I'm working. I'm so bad at the whole like marketing thing. I'm working on
But
it.
you know how this works. All in good time. It doesn't. It's
That's
not needed.
exactly
Yeah.
it.
Exactly. It's like I have to focus on one thing at a time. So
Yeah. It's
I'm getting there,
I
you
know that
know.
you're
looking at
actually
your book
the
on
thing is
Amazon.
the truth is you're already there.
Yep.
Yes, my book's on Amazon and Kindle.
Yeah.
Okay, and Kindle. Okay,
All
cool.
right.
That's it. And by the way, the name of that book is Planting Heartseeds, which we've been doing all afternoon
Talking about
or all
planting
morning.
hot seeds.
You
And then
know?
yeah, and then your podcast.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
every
my
drop of
podcast
madness.
is Every Drop of Madness,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's on Spotify. Um, I've got a lot of episodes on there,
Good.
Yeah.
but
We'll keep doing them.
Good.
Yeah.
mhm,
That way people can have some content. I know that our
we're
conversation with you today was truly eye-opening. I know people listening in are going to love this, and
Yeah.
it's going to be exciting. We'll have to have you back on our show.
Yeah. To see where
well,
you.
I definitely appreciate you guys having me on because I thought it was real funny. I was like, hey, I know this probably isn't common, but can I be on your podcast?
No,
We
I'm
loved
glad
it.
you asked because otherwise, yeah, I'd love the candor there. I'm like, yeah,
That's
this
exactly
is
it.
how we get what we want in life. You just ask.
And it's
Yeah.
these conversations. There's so many people that we don't even know right now that are so happy this conversation came together because it's answering questions for them. It's
Right.
a lifeline. It's a resource. It's a reminder. All sorts of things. And so to hear it from multiple different perspectives, like we're all giving right now, it allows more and more people to click with what we're all trying to share.
Yeah, and by you asking to be on a podcast, you accelerated us as well. It's not like, oh, we're the proprietors. I'm like, no, it's like this is what we're here to come together for.
Correct.
So anyone listening to this, don't be scared to ask because even if you think somebody's doing something that's greater than you, that's not true.
Hmm.
They're doing it.
Right.
Yeah. So we're all here and to build upon. We're all collaboratives of the same thing, expansion, rather than we're opposing each other. That is the lie we've been told.
Hmm. And I'm definitely a firm believer that, like people show up in your life
Yeah.
for a purpose, like I said, the way that I found out about your guys' podcast was just flipping through TikTok, found Kayla,
Hmm.
and then she was like, "Oh, my boyfriend has this podcast." Started listening to the podcast. Like it all goes together. It's all collaborative. Like,
Yeah.
and
And
now I'm here.
Yeah. And now you're here sitting
It's like,
directly across from us. Yep.
right. It's like,
yeah.
if
And
that's not synchronicity, then what is?
exactly,
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. You just nailed
Now,
it.
now you know what Carl Jung was talking about. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
It all came full circle today. But
Yeah.
truly, Anna, thank you so much for this conversation and thank you for sharing your story with our
Yeah.
audience. And we'll be watching
Thank
you
you.
from afar and we'll be reaching out and it's exciting. We'll see our paths cross again
Yeah.
again soon, I'm sure.
And you're a
Oh,
great
thank
force
you.
in the world.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you for what you're doing.
Yeah.
Of course. And thank you guys so much. Like I said, you guys were like a big part of my journey without you even realizing it. And
Yeah.
like, I know it's all me,
Yep.
but at the same time, it's good to have those like, gentle voices that like help guide you and support you. And I think it's important that we all do what we're doing and keep doing it.
Yeah.
So well
Yeah.
said.
All right.
Thank you, Anna.
All right. You're a beautiful soul, Anna.
Yep.
Yeah.
We'll see you soon.
All right.
All right. Thank
All right.
you.
Have a
Take
great one.
Bye,
take care.
guys.